Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for March 2024. So on March 11th, we have Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, moving out of the Aquarius energy where we are emotionally detached long enough to act as the observer, really kind of gain a bigger, broader perspective of the inner workings of our heart space, of the change of heart that we've just gone through, the change in our worth and our priorities and our values. And of course, with that, new wants, needs, and desires are absolutely emerging. That Aquarius energy was very visionary, so we were thinking a lot more about our future selves and in comparison to our present moment selves, what it is that we want to do differently, especially where our relationships and our money matters are concerned. But Venus is moving into Pisces energy. She's moving into the last sign of the zodiac. Pisces energy is endings just as much as it is preparing for new beginnings, which of course will take place when we move into Aries energy. Venus in Pisces is going to be a totally different jam. And what we can expect for this, first of all, it's a mutable water sign. So we know there's going to be a lot of situations where we're going to have to surrender to our emotions, to our circumstances, go with the flow, being flexible enough to see where adjustments and revisions are going to be needed in our futuristic plans. But it's also shadow work. And a lot of the shadow work that Venus goes through is self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence, really needing to see a new level of worth and value within ourselves, filling our cup back up, really kind of tapping into the beautiful parts of life, what is working for us, what is kind of supporting us, and really doubling down on those particular glimmers of hope, because the dark parts that we can essentially kind of creep into with Venus in this Pisces energy is very lonely. Very, very isolated, very raw, very vulnerable in all the worst kind of ways. So again, typical Pisces fashion, water energy, there's a huge amount of healing here. There's a huge amount of transformation here in our heart space and our emotions. And a lot of that requires us to be broken down in order for ourselves to start building this new version of self back up in a much better, much stronger way. So, Pisces energy, we don't really kind of see the world in matter-of-fact kind of terms. We're very imaginative. We kind of live in a world of fantasy. There's no black and white. We would prefer to kind of live in the gray area, but we want that gray area to kind of, represent the rainbow. We love everything kind of light and fluffy and beautiful in this Piscean energy. We want to tap into being in love and being in love with the world around us, and really tapping into a new level of empathy and forgiveness and understanding and surrendering, and just kind of reaching new levels of compassion, not only that we can show ourselves, but we can show other people in the world around us. Now that may seem like rainbows and butterflies, like it's a very difficult task in a very ugly world, such as the situation and circumstance in which we're in, but that is the whole point of Pisces energy, is appreciating the darkness as it does lead us to light, and appreciating the light because, of course, we could only see that light once we find ourselves in a very dark place. There is a lot of love and affection that comes through with Venus in this Pisces energy. But sometimes it's very guarded. It's very, I'm going to say, protected, because we long for a connection on a soul merging level that even those that we love with every ounce of our being just can't offer us, can't fulfill within us. So this is where the loneliness comes in. We want these deep-seated connections, but yet when we take a look at the connections in which we have, they actually leave a lot of room for what it is that we're not getting, what it is that we wish we had instead, which is very isolating, very lonely type of feeling. There are no boundaries in Piscean water, which means that relationship dynamics, and let me just give you a long-term forecast here, relationship dynamics are probably going to take a hit in this Piscean energy, considering the fact that Piscean energy is soul contracts. We need to bring certain relationship dynamics to an ending, to a closure, because, of course, we are about to jump into a brand new astrological calendar. And with that eclipse season, and with that new karmic cycles, new karmic chapters, especially where relationship dynamics are concerned. We need to go through these, I'm going to say, not balanced not protected areas of our relationship dynamics in order to figure out what needs to be stabilized. Meaning there's a lot of turbulence. I want you to think of Pisces energy as the ocean again, choppy waves. We need to hit those high highs. We equally need to experience those low lows so that we understand where it is that we stand in other people's lives and where we can readjust where they stand in ours. This is a tipsy-turvy type of energy, and again, with no boundaries, no borders, we may just kind of get ourselves in situations where we feel taken advantage of, or we recognize the manipulation tactics on our part in order to kind of push other people in the favor of the direction in which we wish that they would take. Either way, there's a blurriness of the relationship dynamics and the boundaries that are needed in it. We need to understand that we are naive and easily deceived in this particular energy because we believe what we want to believe. We see life through a set of rose-colored glasses that, essentially speaking, we get knocked off of our faces, and that huge reality check really vibrates through us. Really puts us in a very uneasy situation when we realize that we have been living in a certain delusion that does not compare at all to the actual reality that we're currently living in. This energy, because Pisces energy is very avoidant, very much the escape artist of the zodiac, we want to run away from confrontation, which is not the smartest thing to do when we are being tested in ways that require us to really tackle our problems head on and boss up and resolve them in the fastest way possible. And so we have to watch out for kind of falling victim to being naive, to falling for delusions. We have to watch out for falling so far into love with something that doesn't even exist. This is like an idealized image of what it is that we want out of life, that we want someone or something to be, that in matter of fact it is not at all. And that harsh reality check is coming, and it isn't going to feel good if you've chosen to live in that particular section of delusion that Venus and Pisces can definitely have us living in. So Venus does very well here as long as we are mindful that the highs are very high, but the lows are very low as well. The positives of this is, again, we are kind of renewing our devotion within ourselves to our own kind of self-evolvement, the devotion to the people, places, and things that we deem to be of worth and value to kind of keep around and continue pouring into. We reach new levels of compassion, not only with ourselves, but with other people in the world around us, which, compassion can go a long way at this particular point in time. And we kind of understand now the value of sacrifice, meaning we need to compromise in order to meet those that we do deem to be of value at a new place. Because again, there's no boundaries and there's no borders there. So we're all going to be tested in ways to illuminate where it is that we need to stabilize. We need to understand that sometimes sacrifice is an important part of compromise, but we can't continue sacrificing our own wants, needs, and desires just to avoid confrontation, just to put other people on a pedestal, when realistically speaking, we're doing no kind of good for ourselves by backburnering what it is that we need to be doing for our own soul's mission. So there is a heavier weight on our intuition. A lot of the thoughts, a lot of the feelings, a lot of the, points of us reaching a certain decision about our lives, about who needs to stay and who needs to go. A lot of it will not make logical, practical sense. A lot of it is just is a sense of knowing, a sense of feeling, a sense of our intuition guiding us on what it is that we have to move away from and what it is now that we want to kind of move closer to. And so, this is a great time to kind of tap into, artistic modalities in order to maybe, express what it is that you're having a hard time saying. But even more than that, tap into music, tap into poetry, tap into writing, tap into art, so that can trigger an awareness, a realization within you of what it is that you're having a hard time kind of articulating within yourself. We can kind of, use interpretation with these artistic modalities to trigger a part of our soul that will kind of lead us in a direction to be able to put into words what we're failing to put into words at this particular point in time. So it is definitely going to be a very interesting time for relationships. Of course, Venus does concentrate on financial matters as well. Let me just say that money's probably going to go out way easier than it comes in under this transit. If we're not kind of keeping on top of our finances and we're kind of burying our head in the sand, we could definitely put ourselves in a financial shit show situation that we don't desire for ourselves. But again, the lack of detail, the lack of caring, the lack of even paying attention to what is coming in and out could really make for a messy situation as we jump into a new astrological calendar. If we are paying attention and we're connecting with our intuition, we're paying attention to the signs and the symbols and the hints and the clues on what it is that we're being called towards, then we may actually see our finances improve, especially if we're tapping into the artistic modalities, really understanding new levels of our skills and our talents that we've been sleeping on, that we've been backburnering, that we can now bring forth to the world, share it in a different way, especially under the desire to help other people heal, to, be of service to the world around us. There is going to be this renewal of mission, of purpose that we receive in our heart space due to the Piscean energy. So this is an energy that we are just going to have to go with the flow for the most part, especially listening to the ever-changing narrative in our heart space with who and what makes us happy. But this is also an ending and a closure. So we do have to expect some bumpy parts to this particular transit as well, as Venus prepares to move into the Aries energy and kick off her new zodiac cycle orbit when she completes her time in this Piscean energy.